There's a certain kind of person who walks into a room and instantly feels something they can't explain. No one says anything strange. Nothing obvious is happening. But something feels off. A glance that lingers too long. A smile that feels slightly delayed. A sentence that sounds normal, but carries a strange weight underneath it. And before anyone else notices anything, their brain has already finished scanning the entire situation, almost like it's running ahead of reality, connecting dots that haven't fully revealed themselves yet. Most people think this is a gift, a kind of emotional intelligence, a rare awareness. But what they don't see is what happens after. Because for this kind of person, there is no off switch. They don't just notice things. They take them home. They replay them. They pull them apart piece by piece, trying to understand what it all meant. And suddenly, one small moment turns into hours of thinking. Not because they want to overthink, but because their mind refuses to leave things unresolved. If this sounds familiar, you already know this isn't a superpower. It's something much heavier than that. Because this isn't just about being observant. It's about seeing layers that most people never even realize exist. And once you start seeing those layers, you don't get to go back to the surface. So the real question is, where does this come from? Why do some people experience the world like this, while others move through it effortlessly? Psychology usually points to two main paths. The first is something you're born with. Some people naturally process the world more deeply. Their nervous system is more sensitive. Everything feels sharper, more intense. It's like their brain is set to high resolution by default. They don't try to notice more. They just do. But for others, this awareness wasn't given. It was built, slowly, quietly, over time, not as a gift, but as a form of protection. This is what psychology calls hypervigilance, and it usually starts in environments where things weren't stable, where emotions changed quickly, where safety wasn't consistent. A child in that kind of environment doesn't get to relax. They learn to read everything, the tone of a voice, the sound of footsteps, the way a door closes. Even silence becomes information, because silence in those environments often meant something was about to happen. They become experts at predicting what might happen next, not because they want to, but because they have to. Their brain learns one simple rule: if I can see it early, I can avoid the pain. And over time, that system becomes permanent. It doesn't turn off when life gets safer. It stays, quietly running in the background. And eventually, it becomes part of who they are. Now here's where it gets complicated. Because when that level of awareness follows you into adulthood, it doesn't disappear. It shows up everywhere. Let's start with the first sign. Your mind is always analyzing, even when nothing is happening. A simple conversation never feels simple. Someone sends you a short message, and your brain immediately starts filling in the gaps. Why was it so short? Did I do something wrong? Maybe there was a pause before they replied. Maybe something felt slightly different, something most people wouldn't even notice. While other people read the message and move on, you stay with it, replaying it, breaking it down, trying to decode what wasn't said. It's like your brain is constantly solving a problem that may not even exist. And the exhausting part is, you can't stop. Even when you know you're overthinking, you're still thinking. Your body might be sitting still, but your mind keeps running in the background, looping through possibilities that never fully resolve, almost like it's trying to close a loop that was never actually opened. And if this is something you do, pay attention to how often your mind goes back to moments everyone else already forgot. If that hits, drop a comment later, because a lot of people think they're the only one like this. They're not. But it doesn't stop there, because eventually, that awareness turns inward. You don't just analyze situation, you analyze yourself. Every emotion becomes something to evaluate. You don't just feel sad, you question it. You don't just feel happy, you check if it's real. It happens fast. An emotion appears, and immediately, there's a second voice. Why do I feel this? Should I feel this right now? And sometimes it goes even further. You don't just question the emotion, you start judging yourself for having it, as if the feeling itself needs to be justified before you're allowed to experience it. It's like living your life while also watching it from the outside. And over time, it takes something away. You lose the ability to just be, to laugh without thinking about how it sounded, to speak without reviewing every word after. It's like trying to dance while constantly correcting your reflection. Everything still works, but the feeling is gone. And then something even deeper happens. You start to see through people in small, quiet ways. You notice that words don't always match intention. That kindness sometimes has a reason behind it. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. A compliment doesn't feel simple anymore. There's always a second layer. What do they want? What's the real reason? And over time, you stop taking things at face value. You don't become negative. You become careful. You observe more than you react. And sometimes, that turns into distance because it feels like you're experiencing something no one else is noticing. And that can feel isolating. Not dramatic loneliness, but a quiet sense that you're slightly out of sync with the people around you. Then comes the part that drains the most: empathy. For most people, it's something they choose. For you, it's automatics. You walk into a room and feel the tension before anyone speaks. You listen to someone's story and carry it long after it ends. It's like your system doesn't just understand emotions, it absorbs them. And over time, that becomes overwhelming because you're not just managing your own internal world, you're carrying pieces of everyone else's too. People feel comfortable around you. They open up easily, but very few people realize how much it costs you. And if you've ever felt drained after being around people, that's not random. That's your system being overloaded. Not physically, but emotionally and mentally at the same time. Eventually, this awareness reaches the body. And that's where anxiety starts to grow, because now you're aware of every physical signal, a small change in your heartbeat, a shift in your breathing. For most people, these pass unnoticed, but for you, they become warnings. Your brain connects them to danger, even when nothing is wrong. And suddenly, a normal sensation turns into something overwhelming. Your body reacts. Your mind reacts to the reaction, and you get stuck in a loop that makes everything feel more intense than it actually is. So what do you do with all of this? Because the truth is, you can't turn it off. So the answer isn't to reduce awareness. It's to change your relationship with it. Instead of carrying everything, you start choosing what to hold. Not everything you notice needs your attention. Not every silence is a hidden message. Not every emotion needs to be solved. You start letting things exist without turning them into something bigger. And slowly, that creates space. Because your awareness doesn't disappear, it evolves. You still notice deeply, but you don't chase every detail. You still feel strongly, but you don't absorb everything. You still understand people, but you don't carry them. And for the first time, you feel something different. Lightness. Not because life got easier, but because you stopped trying to manage everything. You stopped trying to predict every outcome. And instead, you allowed yourself to be here without analyzing it. And that's the real shift, from control to presence, from fear to curiosity. Your awareness softens, less like a spotlight and more like a candle, still bright enough to see clearly, but gentle enough to not burn you. So if this feels like you're not broken. You're someone who learned to understand the world deeply. And now you're learning how to live in it without being overwhelmed. If this helped you put words to something you've been feeling, I'd like, not for the algorithm, but as a way of acknowledging it for yourself. Because sometimes recognizing the pattern is the first step to changing it. And if you want more videos like this, the kind that make you feel understood, consider subscribing. Because we're going to keep breaking down these patterns in human behavior. Slowly, clearly, and over time, things don't necessarily become easier, but they do start to make a little more sense.